This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby! We ain't done yet! We ain't done yet! You like that? You like that? I like that!
Ruckus and the Menace Sports fam, how's it going? You are watching episode number 130 of the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast. I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus. Happy 2025.
Yes, this is the first episode of 2025, and on this episode of the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast, we have the Eastwood segment of the good, the bad, and the ugly, where we talk about those particular things in sports this week. The double high heat segued into the film room as we talk about the recap of the college football playoff quarterfinals and NFL Week 18. Then we get into our color commentary of what is known as Black Monday in the coaching realm of the NFL, and we wrap it up with our stud and dud of the week.
And no, that is not a slang term for Cyber Monday. That is literally just because there is Black Friday, right?
Yeah, there's Black Friday, but that was about a month. That was over a month ago.
I am just being a ruckus. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
but any football fan here would know what Black Monday is whenever we talk about it. But to start out this, our Super Bowl runs begin this weekend, or at least later this week, as Ruckus and his Super Bear run will be in the Wildcard weekend this week.
Yes, sir. Let's go. I'm hyped. Are you hyped, though, is the real question. Ruckus and the Menace Sports fam.
I'm ready to see what you got.
Yeah, I kind of embarrassed myself. I'm going to admit it now. I embarrassed myself the past couple late weeks in the Super Bear run, mainly because I was trying to do a little bit too much with what little I had, and yeah.
But I am off this. There will be no New Era in Old DC this weekend because I have the number 1 overall seed in my run. So while the playoffs would begin this weekend for Rocket, for really us both, you will not see a New Era and Old DC game until next week.
Way to throw some sodium into the wound, my guy.
Had to drop a knuckle stack here and there. And now, the other notable news is that I will be on, well, at the time of release, it will be tonight for Two Nerds in a Pod, twitch.tv/Two Nerds in a Pod.
Got out Lawman Mac.
Yep, it will be 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, most likely, is record time for that. And it is that time of year again, as it is the 5th annual Game of the Year episode. This started in 2020 with the aftermath of the pandemic. Really, 2020 was the first year we did it, but I believe we aired the episode in 2021. And we have done it every year since as kind of a way to give recognition to the year that was in video games. And this was a seed that I planted, and we have just ran away with it. And I've got some fun we've got some fun things in store over there on that channel. So I will be on that episode tonight, 10 p.m. on twitch.tv for the live. The recorded episode will be out later after I send Mac my recorded and do all of that. So we'll let you know when that I'll let you know at the earliest possible. I mean, or have we let it know on the YouTube channel when that will appear on Spotify, and we can have the link along. I'm sure Ruckus will be able to keep track of that as well.
Yeah, I'll make sure to have
I
the
don't
link
do
for the Twitch stream and the other stuff once they come out.
Yep. But overall, I mean, we're still in MLB off season, and this is kind of the time of year where the NFL is going to hit its swan song, as we're in the final few weeks of football before we then start to talk about the draft. However, we now can move on to the Eastwood segment in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, man, I missed not having this segment last week. But we back, baby!
I think it was nice for us to have a little bit of a break from that. I mean, granted that this is kind of one of our staples, but at the same time, I think it was nice for us to not have an episode with it, to kind of really not oversaturate the length of the show and really take advantage of the color commentary that we had. So, with that digression aside, the good in sports this week is that Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy's Tomorrow's Golf League is preparing to get off the ground for its first season this week. And from what Ruckus and I both have been looking into on it, this is very interesting. It's almost like dealing with, for one part of it, a golf simulator on steroids.
Dude, it looks like so I watched a video on how they explain it, and they do singles and triples, and I believe it. I am no golf expert whatsoever. I barely even watch golf. The only people I know in the game were Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and like maybe Jimmy
possibly Rory McIlroy type ordeals.
Well, there was like some older gentlemen in there, like the Watsons, I think, right? Or am I getting it?
You have Bubba Watson. I mean, Tom Watson.
Yeah.
I think was a golfer that existed as well. But man, I tell you what, this thing really is. It's an indoor golf thing that just is a golf simulation style on steroids.
Yeah, this isn't your mom and pop's video game test drive simulator. This is like if you went to the movie theater and the screen was ginormous, like not even like the big screens they have at theaters, but just a IMAX on steroids from what it looks like for the screen. Yeah. And then the field in general is like, I think, about 4 football fields in length.
Yeah, and then a rotating green on top of that. And then a rotating green on top of that that the area will automatically shape itself to whatever surface is eventually going to be played on once they get into the short range. And they can hit out of fairway rough or sand after going through the tee box. Like, yes, that's why I said this game, or not this game, but this league and this style of play is a futuristic golf simulator on steroids.
Can I read the summary on their website of what it is? All right. TGL. Almost kind of sounds like TCL, like the TV company. TGL, presented by SoFi, is a new golf league combining advanced technology with teams of top players from the PGA Tour for 2-hour weekly competitions in prime time starting in January of 2025. 6 TGL teams representing 6 different cities will go head-to-head in a season-long competition at SoFi Center, a first-of-its-kind venue built specifically for TGL on the campus of Palm Beach State College. Matches will air on ESPN and ESPN Plus in the US, and every shot live and all the players mic'd up, bringing unprecedented access to the competition for golf fans. And for the people that know me, they know that I don't give a crap about golf. But seeing
golf is
this,
not necessarily the most popular sport to really, like, for us to really care about or even talk a ton about.
dude,
And
my grandpa will admittedly sleep through golf stuff, and then we'll get mad whenever no one else wants to watch golf, changes the channel.
Yeah. But here are the teams that are involved. You have the Atlanta Drive, which is headlined by Justin Thomas. Rory McIlroy will headline Boston Common, along with Hideki Matsuyama and Adam Scott. Tiger will be leading the Jupiter Links team, along with Max Homa and Tom Kim. The Los Angeles Golf Club is Colin Morikawa and Justin Rose, along with Tommy Fleetwood. The New York Golf Club is Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele as the 2 main feature golfers that probably have the biggest name. And then the Bay Golf Club, Ludwig Aberg, Wyndham Clark, and not as many names that I am familiar with as far as the Bay. But this overall, especially because they're not dealing with all the walking, there's not as much walking around that they'll have to do. I think that this may benefit Tiger more physically than anything else.
I think it'd be a fun, like, little side thing, because, like,
yes,
because when it
exactly
comes to
what it is.
Because, like, whenever you hear PGA Tour or the Masters, if you're not a golf fan, you're like, okay, whatever, like, maybe I should get into this and then never get into it. But I don't know. I think this will be interesting. I wouldn't be excited about it if we were talking about it right now. I'm barely even a golf fan, like I said, as a disclaimer. So for the people that know me, they don't go.
Names,
sorry, go ahead.
There's some huge names that were missed as far as some names there. If they would have gotten like Scotty Scheffler, Brooks Koepka,
Get John Daly on there.
Oh, I would have said Bryson DeChambeau, like some of the more modern names, or even get like Dustin Johnson or some of these others that.
Dude, if I was a famous golf player, which one would I be? Because I feel like I'd be John Daly. Just
you probably have the John Daly type of persona with the not even caring. But I because I also know some more names as far as golf would go. I think that this is a very good introduction for it. I am looking forward to possibly seeing if I can watch a little bit of it at some point to kind of see what this really does. But this thing looks really cool as far as a concept. And I think that this may, especially because you're condensing it into 2 hours of programming instead of about 5 or 6, you may have more people say, "Hey, I may want to sit down and watch this." It could get some eyes on it.
Okay, so the day 1 is going to be the New York Golf Club versus the Bay Golf Club tomorrow or Tuesday, or when we record.
At the time of recording, it would be tonight.
Yeah, tonight, and then they just do one or matchup a week. It looks like so Tuesday, January 14th, next week. It'll be the LA Golf Club versus the Jupiter Links, and that'll be interesting.
Yeah, because that's Tiger. That's going to be Tiger's first array, and this is actually And this idea was created by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. And like these guys are the ones that were EA had been known for having their names all over plastered primarily through their golf games. Rory McIlroy got one, but Tiger Woods, his name was plastered all over for a long time. But even though we've gotten into the good, the not so good this week in the NFL is, I'm going to say it's the Packers. The Green Bay Packers limping into the playoffs with a pair of costly injuries as Jordan Love injures his elbow and Christian Watson was carted off with a season-ending torn ACL.
Yep, and Jair Alexander looks like he's out for the season too, according to this news thing on NFL.com. Packers cornerback Jair Alexander had knee scoped, likely out for season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, especially because I think at most the Packers really only have one game left, and it's against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get a little bit more into that later.
At the link.
But yeah, I think the Packers, I mean, granted the Steelers are crawling to the playoffs, but the Packers limping in, like, and the Packers made the NFC divisional last year. So while Green Bay had a great season, this is kind of not looking good. But what's also looking even uglier is Jimmy Butler and the saga of getting out of Miami. Jimmy Butler is wanting to leave South Beach, stating that he cannot find joy in playing for the Heat anymore. He then gets suspended for 7 games for conduct detrimental to the team, while the Heat search for a suitor. And I think even then, teams are even lowballing them for him. And this, to me, this is just a situation gone horribly wrong. That Jimmy Butler... But I will also say that I think Jimmy Butler is getting older. Believe he now may be...
There have been rumors for like weeks about him going to the Golden State Warriors in a trade.
They've been speculating stuff on LeBron doing that too. But Jimmy Butler just turned 35. So yes, he is very deeply on the downside of his career. I mean, he's no LeBron James in being 40.
Didn't he go in the finals against the Lakers and lose in the not the shuttlecock games, but the Disney World games?
The Mickey Mouse finals. Yep.
Yeah.
In the pandemic. Yep.
And then after that, didn't they go for another run against the Celtics, maybe? Or no, because they're in the same conference.
He had another finals appearance against the was that the Nuggets. Jokic and the Nuggets. That was when Jokic had that really, really amazing playoff run that Jokic just would not be denied.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jimmy Butler has made 2 finals appearances in his long career. Has an Olympic gold medal. Jimmy Butler has had a good career. But I just think he's getting old. He's 35. He's not dominating the league. He's not dominating the league in terms of playing well anymore.
Who do they have on their roster for the Heat? Do they still have
I think they still have Bam Adebayo. I think they still have Bam. They still have Bam. They have Tyler Hero. Got Bam Adebayo, Alec Burks, Tyler Hero, Haywood Highsmith, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Nikola Jovic, Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier. They got guys. They got guys.
Oh, they got the younger brother of Jokic.
No, not the same. No, not the same last name.
Never mind.
Jovic. That is a V, not a K.
All right.
Yeah, he's a younger player, but they've got some decent studs over there, and they're not paying him anywhere near as much. Jimmy Butler's the highest paid. Then it's Bam. Then Tyler Hero. Then Duncan Robinson. Kevin Love is only on a $3 million salary, like just under $4 million in salary. And I think that at worst, Jimmy Butler probably. I think he's on the last big contract that he's really ever going to have. And I think his career ultimately will ride into the sunset with no title.
Yep.
No matter where he goes.
Yep. I think we should go to the next segment.
Yep. It is now on to our first of two segments of the High Heat, where we get into the college football quarterfinal recap, where we will start with the first game in chronological order. The Penn State Nittany Lions defeating the Boise State Broncos 34-14. Then the double overtime thriller of Texas defeating Arizona State 39-31. Ohio State blowing out Oregon 41-21. And then condolences to those that were on Bourbon Street that caused this game to get pushed back. Notre Dame defeating Georgia in New Orleans 23-10. And this one here, I was very shocked that Ruckus picked Georgia, and I'm like, I think I'm going to go Notre Dame because
I just didn't see that onslaught that was going to happen with it. I thought it was going to be very competitive, but it turns out it was the other way around. So,
and what this means for this season as far as the college football playoff, for the teams that were on bye, rest equaled rust. As all four teams that had upper seeds are now knocked out. So every single seed here, 5, 6, 7, and 8, are in the semifinal. The first round went all chalk. The second round went all lower seeds. It will be Notre Dame versus Penn State and Texas versus Ohio State. We will be picking these games in the film room after this next update, which is the Week 18 recap where the playoff field is set. And some notable things that happened. The Ravens defeated the Browns 35-10 to clinch the AFC North away from Pittsburgh. Cincinnati defeated Pittsburgh, but it was not enough, as the Denver Broncos made it to the playoffs as the last seed to get in, blanking the Chiefs 38-0. Granted, the Chiefs did not have hardly any of their starters in.
Yeah, no. It was pretty boring. You know what? You know it's going to be a I don't give a shit if we win this type of game when like the first 3 offensive drives for the Chiefs were just 3 and outs. Anyways,
And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with their rally duck. Yes. Against the Carolina Panthers, they had a duck invade the field, get on the Jumbotron, and yes, the Tampa Bay fans were chanting, "Ducky, Ducky, Ducky." So now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have worked with a wildlife conservator, or like wildlife conservation, to have a female mallard, which was what was on the field, be a rally duck. Yes, a rally duck. And they had the duck. They had the duck on the. They had the duck in the stadium as the Buccaneers defeated the Saints 27-19 to clinch the NFC South away from the Atlanta Falcons, who ultimately lost to the Panthers in overtime. And the NFC North was won by the Detroit Lions 31-9. Jahmyr Gibbs with 4 touchdowns on the day as the Lions clinched home field. You were saying about the duck?
Oh, I was saying I feel like that's not the craziest thing I've ever seen. I feel the praying the rally mantis for the Royals a few years ago when they had.
And then the Angels have the rally cat where you flip it upside down. Yeah, but yeah, I think that there's some fun things, but normally when you think of rallies, you're thinking of baseball. Not necessarily football. But this all started when a duck invaded the football field against the Carolina Panthers, no less.
Yeah. All right.
But we now will move on to the film room, where Ruckus now trails by 31 going into this week.
Okay.
And the first game we have for the college football landscape is the semifinal. Number 5, Texas versus number 8, Ohio State. This one is... see which bowl this is going to be here. As far as the title of it. This is the game that it will be on Friday night at the Cotton Bowl. So this game is at Jerry World. Jerry World isn't hosting a Cowboys playoff game, but it's going to be hosting a college football playoff game. A Cowboys playoff, not a Cowboys playoff game, but a college football playoff game involving Texas. The question is, who you got?
I have the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns, baby. I want Matthew McConaughey's team to win.
Hook 'em. I also am taking the Texas Longhorns here. This game should feel like a home game for Texas, who for the longest time was in the Big 12. And the Big 12 title game is generally inside Jerry World to begin with. And then the last one. In Miami, Florida. In South Beach. The Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State.
I have the Golden Domers because I don't want to get hit in the dome and make that become golden like last time when I picked Georgia.
We are Penn State. We are Penn State. I am taking the Nittany Lions in this one. And now we move on to Wildcard Weekend, where it will be for the first game. And we are actually going to do this in chronological order. The first game will be 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Houston Texans.
I'm going to it was the Chargers and Texans. I'm going Chargers mainly. I feel like they have better momentum versus what the Texans have.
I am going to take the Chargers as well because I think that Houston has had so much get beaten up, but it's a matter of Houston's strong defense versus the inconsistent offense of the Chargers. And the Houston offense, which has not necessarily been their best calling card, versus an improved Chargers defense. I think the Chargers are just going to look a little bit better, a little bit more polished. Go Chargers, go, as the governor would say. And
you're doing it all wrong.
And at M&T Bank Stadium, the rubber match of the AFC North. These two teams split the season series, each team winning at home. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore.
I have the Baltimore Ravens. I think if the Ravens keep going scorched earth on teams, I think they have a chance, even though they're going to have a few hurdles to jump through on the Steelers' defense. I feel like that's going to be a big issue for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but I think he'll do just enough.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have been dealing with momentum that has been slowed to a crawl. I am taking the Ravens here because the Ravens have entered this portion of the season getting hot at the right time. And this could be a team that could be very scary to go deep. I'm taking the Ravens here.
All right.
And on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Orchard Park at Highmark Stadium, the Bills host the Denver Broncos.
I'm picking the Broncos because I want them to beat the Bills so we don't have to face them in the divisional.
I am taking the Bills. I'm taking the Bills. Josh Allen is going to be back. And even though Patrick Surtain is going to put the clamps on whoever the number one wide receiver Buffalo's going to have on a particular thing, it could be Shakir, it could be Cooper. But the other one is going to find some way, somehow, to get open. And Josh Allen, this is the prove it point now.
So, are you saying that he's going to be like Francis X. Clampazzo from Futurama? With his clamps!
Oh, Patrick Surtain is the best shutdown corner in the league. And granted that also Marshawn Lattimore, hopefully healthy at this point, will lock down receivers. But Patrick Surtain shuts down receivers. The 4 o'clock game will be a Week 1 rematch between the Eagles and Packers.
I'm picking the Eagles.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. And then the Commanders and the Bucks.
I am picking the Commanders. I think I have more faith in them over what the Buccaneers have to offer. So I'm going with the Commanders.
Healthy Marshawn Lattimore, we win this a little more easily. A challenge will come about if Lattimore does not play, but I do believe that if the Commanders can get the run game in check and hold off Rashad White and Bucky Irving, I think that the Commanders can do it, especially offensively with a Tampa Bay defense that has been very, very suspect. I am going to go with the Commanders because I think we can realistically get there. And this next matchup is a Week 7 rematch. This was a Week 7 rematch between the Minnesota Vikings and Los Angeles Rams. The Rams won the first time around 30-20. And this one is at SoFi again. Ruckus, who you got?
I think I have
And this also is another Rams. This is also another mentor versus mentee because O'Connell was an offensive coordinator under McVay.
Yep. Is everyone healthy on the Rams?
You said, is everyone healthy?
Yeah, like Kyron Williams, I think they Cooper Kupp, and all.
They pulled him for health or for non-injury related.
Okay. Well,
yeah, they rested starters last week against Seattle.
Part of me feels like the secondary and the defense of the Vikings is going to be stronger than what the Rams try to do on offense. I'm going the Vikings, as long as Sam Darnold doesn't go back to his old Jet self.
I think that the Vikings have a little more to bring to the table. The Rams are good, don't get me wrong. But I think the Vikings should be able to handle business here. And we now go from the teams that have made it to now the teams that just did not do so. And potentially could have had their head coach fired on Black Monday. The question here now is, should this coach have been a Black Monday firing? And if so, we may not get very much into it. Which coach should replace him? The question here now will begin with New England Patriots head coach Gerard Mayo with a 4-13 record. This season, the Patriots have fired him after their game on Sunday. Should Gerard Mayo have been a Black Monday firing?
I think they saw what they wanted to see in Gerard Mayo, and with that, I think if Vrabel opens up, I wouldn't be surprised if Vrabel gets the head coaching job for the Patriots in the next couple of days.
I think this is definitely Mike Vrabel's job. Gerard Mayo, though, I thought New England would have given him at least one more year. I am shocked a little bit that they decided to let him go.
Maybe they should have experimented. Well, he was he was a defensive coordinator that got that job because he was doing so well as defensive coordinator, and as a defensive.
Well, and he was also a former linebacker.
Yeah, so it should have been more defensive minded, and their defense just wasn't that great. So that also tells you why they felt strongly about firing him, because of all of that.
Right. The next one we have, staying in the AFC East. He was fired in Week 5. It is the Jets, Jets. And the dumpster fire that is, as Robert Saleh was fired in Week 5.
This one
definitely was was, and very well we knew it was going to be. So ultimately, who is going to officially be the new head coach of Gangrene?
Dude, I just imagine the Jets front office is just like the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street. Just like the way they act around each other.
Huh. Yeah. So are we thinking a Rex Ryan situation? We thinking a...
Well, there was a rumor or talks about Rex Ryan possibly getting the job after his interview tomorrow, or as this airs today. But I don't really know if he will get that. Good on him if he does, but yeah, I think he would probably be a good one to use as a replacement.
Yeah, I think if they go back to the old coaches, yes, it'd be Rex Ryan. But I wouldn't be surprised if names like Mike Vrabel come about, or even swapping to an offensive mind, and eventually get Aaron Rodgers out of there. Next one here, Matt Eberflus, a firing of the Chicago Bears. He definitely was a Black Monday firing that we would have saw coming and was kind of done well in advance. Who is replacing Matt Eberflus as the head coach of the Chicago Bears?
I really don't know, but there's also a rumor that Mike McCarthy was getting an interview with them, and I'll tell you how I feel about that later in the episode. But I really don't know if you just go for a younger guy that hasn't been well proven, like someone that's new to the head coaching. I think it'd be dumb if Matt Nagy went back to the Bears. I think he fits perfectly with the Chiefs' offense.
Well, I think there's been contemplation on Ben Johnson. There has been contemplation or rumors circling possibly around a Cliff Kingsbury going that direction because of the Caleb Williams situation.
Yeah.
But Mike McCarthy could be a very interesting thing if that goes through. But I don't really know fully. The next one we definitely knew was is Dennis Allen for the New Orleans Saints. Who's taking over that job?
Well,
who do we think will take over that job?
Timu Spagnuolo. Yes, I'm saying that because Dennis Allen kind of looks like Steve Spagnuolo. I don't know who takes over as the Saints head coach. I think it could go a few different ways, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they would have as their head coach going forward. So I got nothing to say about that.
All right. So the next few, or the next good amount, are going to be guys that may or may not get fired, or may have some security at this point. The next one is Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns. Should Cleveland have let him go? They've fired some coordinators around him, but should they have called for Stefanski's head?
I really don't know how they would do if they did fire him. Like, because the next man that would have to be going through that coaching situation is going to have a huge weight on their shoulders when it comes to just the ins and outs of the team, the money situation that's going around them with Deshaun Watson and a few other players that they've had on the roster.
And Deshaun Watson, on top of that, also dealing with a setback on that Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Stefanski, for now, has left himself safe. He is safe for now. But that seat is getting much warmer. The next one, a coach that actually was fired as well on Black Monday, Doug Peterson and the Jaguars. Who replaces him now?
I really don't know.
Because we definitely knew that one was going to be a fire.
I really don't know what you do on that one. Maybe it's like a Dave Canales situation where you get a coach that no one really knows who they really are, or has not been proven.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of those things with the Jaguars, or maybe they get some other outside help.
I'm going to say a coach that is a quarterback whisperer to actually get Trevor Lawrence back on track. If you have banked all that much into Trevor Lawrence, you need a quarterback whisperer. The next one we have is a coach that, while the front office while the owner has said, I'm out of patience, he is still showing confidence in his head coach, Brian Daboll, and the New York Football Giants. Should Daboll have been a Black Monday firing?
No, it's not his fault.
I am going to say yes. I think Brian Daboll should have been. Because the Giants that first year was an overachieving year because they ran into such good luck with terrible teams. Daboll hasn't been able to do anything since. He went all in on this Daniel Jones thing this season, and it came back to bite him. Pay the price. Pay the price. And yes, it is going to be a fire. He should have been. If the Giants want to move in the right direction, I think they needed to let go of Brian Daboll. I mean, don't give him an opportunity to mess up this next quarterback that they potentially could get, which likely could be Shador or Cam Ward.
I don't think Daboll did that on purpose to Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is just a shitty quarterback.
Oh no, Daniel Jones. No, but Daboll at the beginning of the year was all in on him.
Well, yeah, because you paid the guy more. You were willing to pay Daniel Jones all that money just for him to shit the bed on most run plays or other plays. It's just how I think Daboll deserves more recognition and shouldn't be fired.
You're gonna go in the same stance with me and Stefanski, where he may not have gotten fired now, but that seat got hot.
Yeah. Especially because like the year that Saquon actually had a healthy season, they finished off pretty well. And then the next season after that, whenever he got that franchise tag, and then did all that, it's like
no, that GM should. Yeah, that GM should hit the road, Jack. The GM that said, "Hey, we're not going to pay Saquon," he should have been hitting the road.
Which GM?
The next one.
Which GM office is worse, the Giants front office or the Jets front office?
The Jets, because they haven't been able to manage anything right for years. I mean, the Giants at least have won a Super Bowl within the last 15. But the next one we have is in Big D in Dallas with Mike McCarthy. Should Mike McCarthy have been fired for a 7-10 record?
I wonder if he should have been fired when all the shit hit the fan with Jerry Jones not doing anything at the deadline. I wonder if they would have fired him then or a little bit later. Because they didn't really have an answer for Mike McCarthy, for whether or not they were going to keep him or not, when they did the interview with Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones, in general, is just he's like the Sith Lord in Star Wars that wears a cape and goes like, "Yes, good, good," and just like is just being evil. I don't know.
I was gonna say he's like that old man that yells at a cloud, but pulls the magic conch saying, "What do we do now?" And the answer is nothing. And what is Jerry Jones going to eventually do? Nothing.
Roasting a campfire.
What should he have done? He probably should have fired Mike McCarthy. He's been so non-committal on this whole thing. And if you're non-committal with Mark McCarthy going through, just let him walk. Either that or let the Bears take him away. And then you start rebuilding for yourself a new head coach.
How about those Cowboys?
They're a walking accident waiting to happen.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry. I had to.
Yeah, out that goes. As the next coach we will be talking about is the Cincinnati Bengals head coach and Zach Taylor. Should he have gotten it, or was the firing of the defensive coordinator, the right decision?
I think it's a combination of the drama in the front office with
Jamar Chase, yeah.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and all that trying to get paid. I think all that drama kind of fitted into a cavity that became the Bengals placed like pretty much the way they played, like their offense and their defense. I think their defense did a lot better than their offense, personally, because I didn't see very many times where Burrow this season had a good game or like really had the phenomenal stuff that he had like a few years ago.
Oh, hold up. Are we watching the same football right now?
I just haven't heard anything good about the Bengals this season. Like, they lost their footing. They lost their footing near the beginning of the season, and then somehow got 5 wins in a row.
You had a wide receiver that was won the wide receiver triple crown. Led in receptions, led in touchdowns, and led in yards. Joe Burrow threw for almost 5,000 yards passing, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Joe Burrow had himself a career year, and it was overshadowed by a lack of defensive aptitude. It's not defensive ineptitude. It was just a lack of defensive aptitude throughout the early portion of the season. Yeah, the defensive coordinator got fired. Okay, that's probably the right move. Zach the Bengals still finished with a winning record. Granted, not as great as what it could have been, but the Bengals were right there on the doorstep. And they were probably truly the last team eliminated. So, what do we make of this? I think Zach Taylor did just enough to earn himself another year.
Agreed.
The next one that we have is Carolina Panthers coach Dave Canales. Should he have been on the chopping block?
No.
I agree here because ultimately the decision to bench Bryce Young and then bring him in, and Bryce Young has played very, very effectively over the backstretch of the season. It showed that Dave Canales is a little more of a quarterback whisperer than we thought. That the Canales effect is putting itself together. And you were seeing it with how Bryce Young played.
Yep.
The next one is Jonathan Gannon of the Arizona Cardinals. I think I, once again here, am going to say no. Because the Cardinals doubled their win total from the year prior.
Yep.
And the
Cardinals
got better. Yep, the Cardinals got better. Kyle Shanahan.
So for Gannon, no, leave him. Kyle Shanahan, I think this was just a bad year. I feel like I've said this many a times in a conversation about when the 49ers, the next year after the 49ers go into the Super Bowl, the year after they have a bunch of like injury problems and other issues on the field the next year. So I don't think you fire him. I think he's got the culture. He's got the culture. They caught the Christian McCaffrey bug of paper bones.
The Madden curse.
I don't think it's a Madden curse. He had this shit happen to him when he was with the Panthers.
It is the Madden curse. It's the Madden curse.
It's not the Madden curse.
This year, it was the Madden curse.
It was not. Stop. We have seen this in the past before he was playing on Madden, where his legs were not helping him.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but I'm saying for this year to kind of how suddenly it happened, that could have been nothing short of. Because yes, even Josh Allen's elbow, when he was the cover athlete. Lamar Jackson having a down year during his time as the Madden cover athlete.
Patrick Mahomes winning a Super Bowl. That's no curse.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes has shown that he is more of the exception rather than the norm. And we leave it at that. He is more of the exception rather than the norm.
All right.
Shane Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts, where the Colts finished 8-9.
That management over there is something else. I would say that him staying is a good idea. Jim Irsay is really not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to bright ideas.
There was a point where Jim Irsay was. There was a point where he was. It's just not now. I think Steichen staying over there may actually be a big benefit. It's just I don't think that Anthony Richardson is developing as fast as what everyone else is liking right now. And Steichen, this is just showing that I don't think Steichen's a quarterback whisperer. Antonio Pierce. The Raiders at 4-13.
The Raiders defense is like pretty much is like the main reason why he is still a head coach over there. It seems like whenever he took over a year ago, the defense got better and their offense, well, I guess you could call that an offense, but I feel like he's got more of like the Arg pirate kind of vibe when it comes to the Raiders and trying to take the points away from the other team, like as a thug or whatever, I guess I would say.
Nah. Hey. You should have gone. Yeah, Antonio Pierce should have been fired. This team won its last 2 games, pushed themselves out of the draft spot. But the problem is that the Raiders looked absolutely terrible at times. Like the losing streak they had. I mean, granted, the Bears had a 10-game losing streak. And yeah, you can take the good with the bad, but the bad in this case, a lot more times than not, was really bad. A lot of the bad was really bad. How do you lose to the Panthers? How do you lose to the Panthers, who you were not that much better than? The Panthers were worse then. I mean, granted that the schedule was tough, but at the same time, you beat Meek. You then are losing to at the time it was a slumping Rams, the Bengals who were kind of on the cusp of losing a playoff spot, Denver, who was a borderline playoff team for most of the year. Yeah, I think that Antonio Pierce should have gone. Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins.
Leave him.
Yeah. I think the real thing here may be to keep McDaniel, but they definitely need some sort of extra security at quarterback. Or just find some way to force Tua into a guardian cap.
Or that whole situation just in general just needs to be smoothed out better.
And last but not least, the Tennessee Titans and Brian Callahan.
I don't care.
I think you hang. I think you may hang on to him just to kind of see what he does with a quarterback of his own selection. But then from there, the next and closing segment of this episode, the stud and dud of the week. And Ruckus, who we got?
All right. So, my stud this week, I was thinking about making him an honorable mention, but I decided this one you can't really just snub on. So, my stud for this episode is Devon Belly. You might wonder who the hell it even is that. Well, he is one of the rookies that is a receiver for the Denver Broncos, and the most random thing that I have never really seen in my life. It's like seeing a triple play in baseball. Like there's a double deflect by the Chiefs defense, and after the second time it was deflected, all of a sudden, straight out of nowhere, Devon Bell caught it. And I don't think anyone had this on their 2025 bingo card. As far as the honorable mention, I think Rex Ryan wanting to end Rogers Country Club, if hired as head coach for the Jets, is a good one for if he gets it. He is very confident in the fact that he would probably get the job after the interview today, but we'll have to see what happens. But for my dud, I am talking about... So, earlier when I was talking about how I feel the Mike McCarthy situation could be a one of those instances where you kind of had to ask your friend that had this amazing idea that may not go as planned. it's kind of like are you sure that you want him on our team, or are you sure that you want this in general? Like, I think the Bears trying to land an interview with Mike McCarthy doesn't hurt, but if you saw what was going on in Jerry World and all that, um, it could be more so that the Cowboys management is just not that great when it comes to handling the players' situations and just internal stuff with figuring out like the draft board for next season, scouting, stuff like that. Um, I think it part of it could have been Mike McCarthy because they had the same issues when he was at Green Bay. So my thought is, do you think that Mike McCarthy is going to turn into the next Andy Reid? Because personally, I think the Bears management is almost trying to replicate what the Chiefs have been doing as far as moves and whatnot. Kind of like I kind of picture the Bears GM as kind of like the Texans GM in a sense. Like they don't have high or low points in their emotions, and they're just more there for business and just figuring out how to make the team better every day. Um, but I think Mike McCarthy could make things worse for the Bears. I mean, Eberflus pulled the card of I'm going to do the most amount of effort to not do my job right and make everyone kind of sink down in the sand, so to speak, and tear it down. Whereas Mike McCarthy, I think he'll be okay, but I don't know if he'll be any better. And that is my stud, dud, and honorable mention of this episode, Spennis.
Okay, all right. So my dud does go to Tyreek Hill for publicly stating that he may want out of Miami. Or that he is actually wanting out of Miami after missing the playoffs for the first time in his career. Wah. Go cry a little more. Get that binky and put it in your mouth there, Tyreek. Quit being a baby. Because you're complaining over... Number one, you're complaining over a circumstance that was beyond your control, with Tua Tagovailoa missing a whole bunch of games due to a concussion. Tua's been unhealthy since he's entered the league. On top of that, you quit on your team in the final quarter of the season, where you as a captain should be galvanizing your teammates, as you guys currently could have been in position, even though Denver was winning the game. Could have galvanized your team to a winning record. For shame. This is what I really do believe will keep Tyreek Hill out of a potential chance in Canton. Yes, I said it. Tyreek Hill will not make it to Canton because of this. Because this is just a perfect example of what not to do as a leading wide receiver for a team. However, my stud for this week is, I think, has further cemented his chances of being a first ballot Hall of Famer wide receiver. And it is Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver and a league winner for me in 2 leagues, Mike Evans. For matching Jerry Rice's mark of 11 consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving. And Mike Evans has done this with a bunch of different quarterbacks at the helm. You don't hear him complain. Like, he is, I think, one of the best examples that I have seen of how a receiver leads a team on the field. And for me, I have the utmost respect for Mike Evans, as he has just been a model of consistency for over a decade. And you know what that translates primarily to more oftentimes than not? And I think you know the two words that I'm going to say here. Gold jacket. I mean, are you in agreement here with this, Ruckus?
I am in total agreement. There is no doubt in my mind that Mike Evans should be a Hall of Fame candidate.
He is a shoo-in, and I think once he retires, I don't think he's waiting extremely long. Just because of the type of receiver he is. Go ahead and take us out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 130. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And Ruckus nearly said COD passed. And I'm Menace the Menace.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Also, thank you for listening to this podcast, the best podcast in the land. We'll see you guys later.
Deuces.